Good morning, guys. Good morning. It is Tuesday, December 16th. So there is 15 days left till the end of the year. And let me just adjust this so that it's pointing down. And I am reminding myself to look at you directly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Today I want to talk to you about building your tower. And the tower is a representation of whatever it is that you're wanting to create. And I was listening to someone yesterday, a reflection, a reading about what I was building this year, what I was trying to build actually starting last year. And I had been building this tower. The way I was building it, it was meant to be built by two people. But I was putting in all the effort, all the work into it. And therefore, by design, it was weak because it required two people to build it. And at the end, it came crumbling down. It was meant to come down. And in order for me to build one the way it's supposed to be built, which is by one person, with the help of others, of course, but the design of it is not supposed to be dependent on others, but rather on just me and the divine. And it's going to be a stronger tower. It's going to be designed in such a way that it will never crumble. Even if others pull away from contributing to building the tower, because it's designed in such a way that one person and the universe can build it. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. You may have been, or you may be in such a journey where you're building something with someone and they're not putting in the effort that they promised that they would. So I caution you to look at what you're building and to take a step back and determine whether or not you should continue building your tower in such a way. I know it was difficult to abandon this design, but if it's going to harm you, believe me, the universe, the divine, your angels, your protectors are going to put things in place to where that tower is going to fall for your protection. So trust in that, if it does come crumbling down, that you're meant to build a new one in such a way that it will support you, it will sustain you, it will be reciprocating, that it will fulfill you in all areas of life. And when it does crumble, this tower that you're building now, it is an opportunity for you to reflect on how better you can design this tower. Believe in yourself. Learn from your mistake. The person that you were counting on to help you build this tower, they were there to reflect back to you the flaws in your design. I don't like to say flaws because I don't believe that there's ever a right or wrong. It's just data. It's just information. It's whatever value you put into it. But something isn't or wasn't in alignment when you built that tower or build this tower. If you feel that it's not coming along as you had planned it to be built. So take a step back, take notes, write down how better you can improve the design of your new tower, and forgive and let go. I know it's painful. I have been reflecting back on this journey, on the design of this past tower, and there's a lot of pain and a lot of hurt that I feel when I think of how it could have been a beautiful tower had it been designed, had it been built the way it was designed to be built. But you can't have regrets. If you focus and trust that it was meant to be so that you can design the next one even better, even more stronger. And I think of that when I say even better. Well, I wouldn't say that it was better. I mean, it's going to be better, but because I don't know, in my situation, it was beautiful, but there were cracks in that foundation. There were cracks on that wall, and I knew it, but I just kept building it. I'm building it. I'm building it. So I wasn't surprised that it would fall. I was just hurt that as much as I was telling my counterpart to build it with me and how to build it with me, they would sometimes show up and sometimes they wouldn't show up. Actually, more often times they didn't show up, or that when they did show up, they were distracted. When they were there, they weren't fully there and they weren't engaged. In the beginning they were, but towards the middle and the end, they were not there. But that's okay, because now, knowing what I know, it's allowed me to focus on myself. It's allowed me to focus on me. It's allowed me to see where I had depended on others to build that tower, rather than depending on myself, trusting myself, trusting my design, trusting that I can create something beautiful on my own. And if along the way I do attract others to help me build this tower, then that's just a bonus. That's just, that's just a gift, a blessing. It's been a journey of realizing that our true happiness is actually when we're alone. And if you haven't recognized that, you need to spend more time alone doing the things that you love to do. And you'll see that You really don't need anyone to be in alignment with yourself, because we're truly never alone. We're alone in a sense that it's you and the universe, you and the divine, you and God, you and the creator, and you are co-creating together. And God is just the one bringing the people into your life. You know what I mean? It's not like you saying, come here and work with me. Actually, that person had to be there in order for you to be able to say, hey, would you be interested in co-creating this thing with me? No, the universe brought that person first. God brought that person into your life. The universe, however, I do want to add this, with your intention, right? Because our thoughts create, right, with the universe, right? And not really create, we shift, right? So we have to, it's when our energy is in alignment with attracting someone into our life, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a professional relationship, whether it's family. Think about your energy and how you open up to receiving that person into your life, into your quantum field, to be able to say, hey, I have got this idea, or I have this project, or I have this task that I need help with, if you're interested in helping me. And the thought of not even asking just came to me. Like, you may be, and this is probably the best one, is like when you're in alignment doing whatever it is that you're pursuing or doing, that you're doing on your own. If you're enjoying what you're doing, you don't even have to tell people or that person to come help you. You will attract them to want to volunteer or want to offer their services to help you build whatever it is that you're working on. Now that's true co-creation, right? And that's when you know you're in alignment, when you're attracting people into your quantum field to help you build, to interact with you into building whatever it is that you're pursuing and creating. So I invite you to step back, look at what you're creating, what you're working on, and look at your dependencies, external dependencies, and go back to the drawing board, take a look at it, and decide, does this design warrant rethinking or redesign, to where it's got to be, I don't want to say it's got to be, but to where you're the one who can design it by yourself. I hope that makes sense. Like, if there's a dependency on someone, how can you ensure that it's going to be built without that person, right? And maybe it's about redesigning it so that anyone can build it. And I'm just talking about parts of your tower, not necessarily the whole tower, although that also can be the whole design. Anyway, I know I'm using a lot of analogies and metaphors because I want this to apply to everything that you're working on. And this is just an opportunity. If you're hearing this message, it's an opportunity for you to step back, take a look at what you're building, and look at the holes that your design may have, the cracks that it may have, the weak points that it may have, and can you design it better? And if you can, then this message was definitely meant for you to hear and listen to. But don't be hard on yourself or the other people around you. Because at the end of the day, we are in control of the decisions that we make, the choices that we make. And we're always presented with the information by the way we feel about the situation. Sometimes, or most oftentimes, we ignore the warning signs or that energy that's telling us, our intuition telling us, don't do it. Or don't do it this way, or beware, this doesn't sound right. And our ego, who wants to protect us, who wants us to say, no, the decision you made is sound, because their ego always wants to make us feel comfortable with whatever decision we make, to protect us. That's what it's there for. But it's not necessarily right. Our ego isn't always right. So remember this. Have discernment. Okay, is what am I feeling and going to ignore coming from a place of supporting us, or truly protecting us, truly supporting us in the direction that we want to go? And is ego just afraid of not growing or not taking the action, the right action to truly protect us? So those are always battling, right? Our ego and our intuition. And the intuition is never loud. It's always that soft, quiet, gentle voice. So it's easy for us to ignore, because the ego is so much more louder. It's so much more assertive, more aggressive. Like, no, this is right. No, you got to do it this way. You've worked hard on this. This is the plan. But it's worth taking the time to step back. If you do hear, if there is this little faint voice saying, this may not be the best approach, or this may not be the best person, or maybe it's not the right time, it's not in alignment. So on this journey, because of everything that I've experienced, because of all the pain and suffering that I've felt on this past journey, or you could say this whole journey, is to be more self-aware of that small voice, to be more in tune with my intuition. And when you practice tuning into your intuition gets stronger. And that has been a message that's been being presented to me more often through this self-reflection, this period of healing, is that as you tune in more into your intuition, the stronger it gets and the wiser you are. And like this, I've been called to get on here in front of you guys and just start talking and sharing what I know, because deep down I know that I've gone through so much in my life that it's gonna help people, me sharing them with you. And the other thing that keeps coming through is that not all of us are light, but I keep getting the message that I am this bright light. And I have always asked myself, why is it that it's easy for me to bounce back from failure, bounce back from a devastating situation, or from such a tribulation that I've experienced in my life. When I think about my childhood, I'm not the only one. Yes, there's a lot of people that have divorced, that come from divorced families, from tragic moments, from seeing someone that they dearly loved transition. The people that have lost close to them, lives that were close to them. And there are many that have experienced that and have allowed it to slow them down, or have allowed them to dim their light. And then there are those who use that to become the light for others who've experienced such trauma in their life. At the end of the day, it's all a choice. And I want to say, but some of us are. There's just this ACEs study that shows that if you experience 7 of these things, and I want to go refresh my memory on it, but if you experience 7 of these things, and one of them is if you come from a divorced family, or an abusive family, or a family that has addiction, like alcohol addiction, then as an adult you are more likely to have a severe medical issue, medical problem. So however, those that bypass this statistics, those who come out on the positive end of this, had one thing in common. And that one thing in common was having someone in their life, a single person that uplifted them, that was there to encourage them to see the light. That was the only difference. And so the ACEs program or study is to bring that awareness in schools, so that counselors and teachers can be that light to our children, to inspire our children to see the light rather than darkness, to see that there are solutions to the problem, to encourage our kids, to encourage us as kids to see that we can make a choice that moves us forward rather than holds us back, or I want to say backwards. Where am I going with this? I'm here because I am listening to that intuition, that voice, the divine. And that voice is even stronger when it's your angels. And more so now, through this journey that I've been, am I now trusting and leaning on those voices that come through that say, do it, you're supposed to do this, and actually trusting and stepping into it, taking action, and like getting in front of this camera and like talking about it. And so I encouraging you, I hope this is encouraging. No, I set intentions that this is encouraging you to start listening to that small voice and trusting that as you trust it, we don't necessarily know exactly the steps to move forward, but we'll get the information. It may be very quiet, and just like for me, it's just like, just get on the camera and just talk to people, inspire people. And the other thing that I've also heard is just be you, just be the person that you are. And so I go back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, which is that Arnel, how do you always come back to being positive? It's just my nature. It's just the way I've been designed and built. And so I can see why when I hear this voices that say, just be. Because I was asking, what do I do? Just be you. Because being you, you are built in such a way, I don't want to say chemistry, like your composition makes you unique to who you are. And so you just need to be you, because you're built that way so that when you interact with people, when you interact in the quantum field, you move people in such a unique way to you that you inspire people in that way, because we're all built differently, uniquely. I want to say uniquely. I don't want to say differently, because then, I don't know. You can look at differently as being an outcast, but unique is more appropriate, I believe, because we're all we're all one and the same. We just have unique traits, capabilities, somewhat similar, but again, unique. We have unique qualities. And so you have that unique quality that, because of your uniqueness, you just will light up the world in a unique way. Make sense? So don't doubt yourself. And I say that because I was doubting this journey that I'm on of like separating myself as much, detaching myself from the matrix, the rat race, specifically the rat race, more accurately the rat race, because this is the matrix. We're interacting with the matrix. We're either we're in the matrix, but when you understand that we're in the matrix, then you can actually step out of it and say, okay, this is not how I want to interact in the matrix. I no longer want to be bound by it. I want to use it to my advantage. Then that's when you know you're woke, when you're awakened, when you can actually step back and say, okay, there's more to, say, for example, the 9-to-5 programming. I am doing what I have to do to pay the bills. Man, paying the bills. Well, that's that's a programming in the matrix so that you can keep feeding someone else's design or someone else's program within the matrix. Hope does that make sense? So yes, so I've detached in this journey from what everyone else is doing, most everyone, because there is an awakening going on. There are people now, and that's the people who are making a ton shit of money, is because they understand the matrix. And if by chance they happen to move into the stream of how to interact with the matrix, sooner or later, because of that awareness, because of the intelligence, the knowledge that they gain, they will realize it and then step out of it. That's why, if you think about the people that have built these amazing towers, they're all very unique people. And it's unique because, and we see them as very different, is because they have been living outside the matrix, so to speak. in their thinking. You know what I'm saying? They think differently, because when we say differently is because we've been programmed, we've allowed ourselves to be programmed and to be thinking a certain way because of the matrix, the programming, and you can say the patriarch is the programming. All right, so I hope I'm not losing you in this discussion, but rather helping you see and become aware of your environment, and waking you up to knowing that you can unplug yourself from the rat race and do something that you truly love, and trust that the universe will guide you through this, through the journey to your true alignment, to doing exactly what you're meant to do. And I just saw 111 on the timer. I would love to hear from you if this is resonating with you, or if I have raised an eyebrow and made you realize something in your life. I would like to hear what that awareness is. And I am creating these to build, with the intention to build a community that is wanting to transform to their higher self. And if it just helps one or two people, then that's great. One or two people's lives is valuable. And I want to encourage you to keep going, to keep walking or running through, preferably walking through and not running. But if you're in that pace, great. Running through your journey, running through the craziness that's going on in your life. Remember, this is important. The intention or the energy that's behind everything you do is key. For example, if you manifest from a place of lack, you are putting the energy of lack out there in your intention, in your spell. So remember to ask yourself, am I coming from a place of love, abundance, or am I coming from a place of fear and lack? There's a huge difference. So if your energy right now is lack, doubt, fear, heartbreak, you're hurting, go into meditation, do breath work for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be that long, but enough to calm you down. You just have to take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it as long as you can, preferably 8 seconds, and then you release out your mouth all the way. And you do it again, and you keep practicing. And what I like to do is try to get the breathing consistently every time. And that forces you to be aware of what you're doing, to be aware of your surrounding, to be aware of your energy, to be aware of everything that's going on. So when you do this, you have to focus on your breathing. And because you're thinking about, okay, how long am I breathing in? When I hold it, how does it feel? And am I focused on breathing that air to my third eye and holding it, you're tightening your breath at the top before you release it out your mouth, all the way out. It takes effort to do that consistently. Just like doing something consistently takes effort and focus. When you do this, you'll find that it'll calm you down. When you do this, you'll find that you are more focused. And when you do this, your emotions, your energy has shifted. And then go do something you love to do. Something that will raise your energy. Whether it's to go out in the gym, work out, that's always good because, you'll see that you'll have happy hormones after you've completed a set. And if you love to dance, go dancing. So just telling you that, I'm going to share with you when I said dancing, because the way I met my twin soul, my mirror soul, on the dance floor, doing what I passionately love, I'm aware that there are wounds, that there are pain from that, because I faced rejection from her doing something that I love to do. When I asked her to dance with me and she rejected me and she said no, there's a bond, there's a connection to doing that. I'm not talking all the types of dancing. I'm just talking about partner dancing, because I love to dance by myself. I love to dance music, but when it comes to that aspect of dancing, partner dancing, and really, especially Zouk, which is a partner dancing, where you really truly lean into feeling the music with a partner and connecting with a partner. I do feel a sense of disappointment when I think of dancing now. And so my work is to heal that pain. And to do that, I have to detach her from that joy of dancing. And I don't quite exactly know how I'm going to do that. I may have to separate. I may have to get back on the dance floor and dance with someone else to feel that joy again in partner dancing, to that type of dancing. And you know why to me it's I don't want to say it's so painful, but that's what was coming out, what's wanting to come out. Why it was so painful is because I have always wanted to, I romanticize dancing, I'll say that, but I've always wanted to, and I did with her, I always wanted to meet the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my journey here, and this iteration of me. I wanted to always meet that person on the dance floor, because it's amazing feeling when you connect with someone doing something that you really enjoy doing and want to get better at. Because I'm not a I'm just a beginner, I would say, or a little bit more than a beginner in bachata, and salsa. And in Zouk, it was something that I was learning. And when I had met her on the dance floor, I had been dancing Zouk for a year, but I still felt like I was still, decent, but I wasn't awesome. That's of course, my self judgment, right? Because other people probably thought I was pretty good. And then the professionals, or the ones that have been doing it for years, are like, nah, your technique's off. You always get that, right? And that's okay, right? We got to be okay with that, because that's just how it is. We all have to start from somewhere. Yeah. And so interestingly enough, I saw my ex for the first time since we split this past April, since she left. And I saw a picture of her posted on Facebook by one of the DJs. And it's just interesting because it's a new location, but it's the same event. And is a picture of her dancing with a mutual friend whom I feel energetically safe with and trust. And he knows, because I confided in him how much I care about this person. And he knew a little bit of what I was going through. So, and he's older. Not older than me, but older than her. So, because I find that no, that's not entirely true. I was gonna say, because I found that a lot of people in that community, dance community, is younger, but when I look at the social events, it's a mixed crowd. But anyway, I digress. So, all of this is information. All of this is information. Information. When I talk about age, the information that I'm saying is if you expand that, you can start talking about emotional maturity, and over time, right, we build emotional maturity as we grow older in this 3D world that we live in. And when we're younger, we're not as emotionally mature. Most of us aren't emotionally mature. We're just coming out of a shell. Although there is some merit to some people being an old soul, because you can see that they've been around, because there's a essence of them that shows that level of maturity. Hence we call them old soul, because you can hear through their voice, sense through their voice, there's a sense of maturity in them. So that's why I say that we're spiritual beings experiencing a physical experience. I didn't say that quite right, did I? But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. Anyway, I'm going on 44 minutes, and I want to get this out there. Thanks for watching me. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm doing this all so that I can focus on. Wow, I just saw 444. I'm doing this so that I can focus on building my tower without as many distractions as possible, minimizing as many distractions as possible. And not a lot of people will do this. Not a lot of people will decide to live in their car so they can just focus on the work, taking care of their body, having time to journal, reflect, think about it, the things that they do, think about the thinking that they do, and just having peace and not being in the rat race. I'm building it. I want to build it in such a way that when things are in alignment, then that block is there to build the next wall. And not forcing it. Instead, I am leaning on what I'm attracting into my life. I'm leaning on the universe, on the divine, to help me build this tower. So that no one is going to be responsible for the strength of its walls but me and the universe. This is my life. This is my story. I love you. Thanks for watching. Let me know how I can support you in any way. Remember, you are cherished, you are loved, you are adored, and you are created in God's image. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is within. So you are powerful. Don't forget that. I'm reminding you right now, so you can't forget it. All right, till the next video. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being with me on this journey. I appreciate you more than you know. Thanks for supporting me. Like, follow my channel, share it with as many people as you can. We need to pull in the people that are wanting to see this content, right? And our energy, because as you comment and as you participate, you are sharing your energy. And please be mindful of the people around you. Come from a place of love, and you will reflect that back to you. We can't change people, but we can change ourselves. And when we change ourselves, we affect the quantum field. We're all in our own quantum bubble. We all have free will, but from our perspective, the people around us don't actually have free will, because we can bend the field based on our energy, our own energy. Real quick, here's an example. If you approach a kid that has a temper tantrum in such a way that you're tense, guess what? That kid, his temper is not going to change. As a matter of fact, it's probably, if you react in such an aggressive way to try to calm him down, he'll actually do the opposite and get more aggressive and be more out of control. But if you calm yourself down and instead wrap your arms around him and love him and be at calm when you do it and peace, he eventually will stop screaming and flailing his arms around, and he might even burst into tears as he let go of that energy and be at calm and be at peace. And I say this from my own experience raising my kids, and specifically an incident in which my son did just that. And instead of doing what I normally do, which is scream back at him to calm himself down, I walked over to him as he was flailing and throwing a temper tantrum and wrapped my arms around him. And I just whispered in his ear, "I love you. It's okay." And I kept repeating it until he stopped and started crying. and just kept repeating, I love you. It's okay, son. I love you. Thanks for watching.